Our technology is valuable to customers throughout the U.S. and internationally. And today we're going to discuss the Great Basin region, which is diverse in terms of crop, climate, and weather can change on a dime. Joining me today on this Redox Grows Technical Podcast is our agronomist, Brett Reed. Brett, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
This is going to be a deep dive into a very interesting region, but let's start with your background, which I'm fascinated with. It includes you worked at a large animal vet, you were a cowboy, you graduated with a degree in animal science from Brigham Young University. You also have a background in microbiology and biochemistry. When did that scientific curiosity kick in for you?
Oh, I'd say very early on, very young. Just loved everything about biology. Wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. Loved animals. Never really thought about plants as going that direction, but definitely was just enamored with how medicine was, how the body did, what it does, and just kind of went down that road. So mycology is something that you're very interested in. Explain what that is and how it's perhaps personal and also a professional help for you. Absolutely. So a little bit later on, after going through school, was really just trying to figure out what I could do that would help me in my career. And something that's not really studied a whole lot is mycology, but it's so huge in not only medicine or biology or just what I do every day in agronomy. And so mycology is the study of fungi, also molds, yeasts, and so what I use the applicable mycology. And so if I'm looking at a field, I see, do I have an arbuscular mycorrhizal? Do I have just mycorrhizal? And then is there fruiting bodies? So that determines whether or not I have a pathogen load or something that I'm actually looking at decaying in the field. So there's different types of fungi, and so it helps me just kind of understand where I'm at and where we're at in the field, what's our nitrogen carbon ratio, and some of those other things like that.
Interesting that you have that synergy between this passion that you have and the work in the fields. Let's talk about the Great Basin. What areas are you covering? It requires a lot of driving, a lot of walking, so tell me more about that.
Yeah, so the Great Basin covers a lot of states. I primarily focus on Nevada, Idaho, and Utah, and there is a lot of driving. I'm putting about 5,000 miles a month on that truck, just trying to service growers, service distributors, just make sure everything goes according to plan. And so there's quite a bit of driving. There's a lot of walking, a lot of big fields. Sometimes there's places tucked in the middle of the mountains that we got to go to. And that presents its challenge as well. So whether it's weather, it's elevation, all those things come into play. Water, if it's surface, if it's pivot. So there's lots of challenges that come with it. But I love it just because of the challenge. I want to try to be better. I want to try to know more and be better at my craft every day.
How much do you walk in the fields? How many miles could you guess? And why is it important to be in the fields looking directly at the plants?
Good question. So I quit wearing my step counter because
okay.
I was getting quite a bit. On a good day, they were walking fields a lot. I was getting upwards of 20,000 plus steps.
Wow.
And so I was averaging anywhere from 15 to 22,000. But yeah, it's great to be out there in the fields and walking. So along the lines of what we were talking about, stress and pathogens, it's how can I alleviate that worry for the grower? Putting another set of eyes out in the field is huge. So if there's more eyes out in the field, that grower's hopefully has that peace of mind that somebody else is watching those fields for them too at the same time. So it's not just going out there and seeing how our products are doing or how technology is doing. It's also giving that grower peace of mind that, hey, I've seen this. Is there something that we can do? Do you want to do something? And give them an opportunity that's there.
So you're a partner with the grower and you're invested in their success as well. If you see some issue with irrigation or some other issue, is that a topic that could come up as well?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know how many times I've been soaked trying to unplug a bird on a pivot or or let them know, hey, you've got a head that's blowing a geyser out here on this main line, or if you're groundwater or you're flood irrigated, hey, your bridge or your stops are out, or just something like that. So that's huge. And then you can let them know on your economic thresholds if you have some kind of abiotic stress or biotic stress that's coming, or that you can see, you can try to mitigate that as soon as possible. So if the grower's not successful, I'm not successful. And so I don't want to try to push the grower into anything. I want to try to be a partner and exemplify the fact that they're growing food for us and for our country. So that's the main goal, is to try to help them as much as possible.
Redox technology is complicated. It takes a while. I'm sure many growers know what Redox can do, but many others are still in the kicking the tires stage. So when you meet a new grower, what do you explain to them about Redox, a Redox 101 lesson, if you will?
A Redox 101 lesson, it's not pounds per acre, it's charge per acre. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard thing to understand. So to make it, I try to make it as simple as possible. And I think you and I have talked before, I try to make an easy button for the grower to either understand how our technology works, because we can get pretty deep, because it is amazing technology. To understand what it is looking at nutrient solubility based on charge. And that charge relates to the plant charge balance that we talk about at Redox. So if we can balance the plant, we can balance that charge, we're going to allow that synergy between the soil and the plant to become that much better and more efficient all the way throughout.
We can back this up not only with the research done here, also grower trials, and now in the fields, we just continually, for more than 30 years, see success after success. So in terms of practicality for the grower, we're looking at yield and quality. For example, the plant will focus on those aspects and not on getting to that balance. This can be scientifically charted and seen come harvest time, correct?
Absolutely. The amazing component that we have here too is the science that backs up the technology. It's the results, it's the application, it's the grower seeing it for themselves too, and where we can make nutrients more efficient. We can reduce nutrients because of the charge that we focus on, and how that becomes so fundamental for our biology in the plant and the soil. And the team here at Redox is amazing, and it's something that I've always wanted to be a part of, and to and not just Redox in itself, but just a team that's there to help and wants to help and understands that we have to help the grower become more efficient. We're past the ability to just put more on and continue to try to push yields where we're not getting to that point now, and we're running into a lot of negative aspects of it. So if we can actually get more efficient, and we can do it with very minimal inputs and very minimal use rates, why wouldn't you want to go that route? And to supply that with the science to back that up, bar none, I don't think there's anybody else out there that could compete with that.
Sustainability need not be feared as long as it keeps the grower's bottom line in mind.
Absolutely. ROI has got to be 100%, especially with these times nowadays with everybody. The growers are having hard times. We've got the markets are down. You have huge interest rates on equipment, and a lot of these guys are just trying to make their payments. And if I can get to a grower who's, even smaller, but he can make a living for him and his family, and he says, hey, I can farm next year, thank you, that means everything to me.
Let's talk about another technological advancement, fractionation. Why is that important, and what is it?
So fractionation is, I kind of look at it as like a filter. So what we do, especially in Redox, is we look at fractionation for the ability to pick out specific molecules. And so when you look at different use rates that we have, they're small because we're pinpointing what we want. So that fractionation really is, do I have humic, do I have fulvic, do I have human? And I know exactly what is in each one of those products based on that fractionation. Where if you have a single filter pulling out from, say, a Leonardite source, That could have a lot of human in it, could have a lot of humic in it, could have a lot of fulvic in it. Just depends on what section of Leonardite that they were pulling from. So on the fractionation point, if I know that I want to hit something quick and I want a fulvic, I know where to go because of the fractionation and how much is in that. So it really helps me as an agronomist kind of pinpoint that for the grower. And again, it goes back to our efficiency. How can I make this more efficient for the grower? Well, that's fractionation. That's using H85 or that's F70 or I can go in any direction I want, which is great. And I don't think there's a whole lot of people out there that can say that about some of their products. And so that's nice about Redox and me as an agronomist to make it a lot easier.
Well, let's talk about some of the technology. You mentioned some of the products. Why don't we start with PeneCal? Tell me what that is and how it helps.
So PeneCal is a calcium source. We have alcohols and it's microencapsulated. So we're protecting that charge that's within the soil. The alcohols that are in with the PeneCal allows that to penetrate that soil. Just go down into that root microbiome a little bit better. I like to use PeneCal, especially coming into the wheat harvest where we're at, that we need to look at calcium nutrition going forward. I know in the Great Basin we have calcareous soils, but what part of that is actually soluble? And where soluble calcium is so important for even nitrogen use efficiency, sulfur, boron, some of these other things that are so pertinent to when we're going into a planting. It's huge to use PeneCal for that, especially with water. Our water use efficiency in Idaho is becoming a huge ordeal. So using PeneCal to actually get water within the soil profile is one of those things that I think is underutilized and something we need to look at more. So not only calcium nutrition, but water penetration as well.
Water is an interesting subject. Coming from California, I saw a lot of subsurface drip for crop, like processing tomatoes is one example. Water is going to be a bigger and bigger issue here in the Great Basin, correct?
Absolutely. There's, our aquifers, we have a lot of snowpack that I feel we don't get to utilize as much. And where guys are digging deeper wells every year, we've got to do something about our water management. And I think that's part of what is beautiful and just kind of overlooked with like a Redox product is you have that opportunity to, since that's one of your biggest nutrients, especially in Idaho, and we have to look at water as a nutrient, is if we're going to be efficient with nitrogen, why aren't we going to be efficient with water as well? So PeneCal will give us that opportunity. H85 is another one that I like to use as well, to just use that for a water efficiency. If we're talking plant metabolism, diKaP is another one. And I know coming in through this season right now, where potatoes are using a lot of water, sugar beets are using a lot of water, using that stomatal conductance to assimilate that water within the plant and continue to use that correctly. You might give a day or two that you can turn your pivot off, but you're going to be rest assured that you're not going to lose all that trigger pressure because you have a nice biostimulant within that plant.
I'm a firm believer that growers convert water into food, so it's very valuable, but they also want to stay on top of the new technology, especially when they can stay profitable and become more efficient in the area. So I think it's very exciting. It'll be more and more a topic of discussion in Idaho, Utah, locations like that moving forward. You mentioned H85 humic is very exciting. A lot of discussion, I imagine, in the field. What's your thought on humics and then H85 specifically?
So humics are a biostimulant in themselves, which are, I think, kind of not fully understood that way. Dr. Gifford Gillette is amazing on humics, so I've learned a lot just with him talking over that, and I'll have a question to discuss that with him. But the nice thing about humics is you get that carbon source, you get that stimulation within the soil microbiome. And the nice thing about humics is you can help increase that, what we call like an organic matter, basically within that rhizosphere. And so that allows that back chain for nitrogen to come in. It allows the carbon to be assimilated from the bacteria, from the macrophages. And so that's a continual cycle that just continues to help on top of that. So So not only are you helping the microbiome, you're helping the soil, water retention, you're stimulating the plant, you're giving a back chain for nitrogen cycle. So there's so many things that humics can give us. So whether or not it's an H85 or an F70, having humic in your protocol should be a must, in my opinion, especially if you're not in a position to put organic matter down a lot of the time. So.
Yeah, and you need a quality source of it. Gifford, our head of research, there's no one better in terms of talking about it. I love he has a slide where there's the many benefits that come from quality humics.
Absolutely.
And so this is all rooted in pragmatism and profitability for growers if they utilize this technology, which is ultra efficient. How about RDX-N? Our president, Colton Moon, has talked about this is a real breakthrough product. It's been over a decade in the making. Every grower is interested in nitrogen and optimizing it. Your thoughts on RDX-N and some of the ways you're already utilizing it here in the Great Basin?
Yeah, man, I wish we could do.
Do you need an hour, Brett?
I do. I do. RDX-N is just, it's amazing. Not only are you talking about nitrogen efficiency, so Colton's absolutely right. Every grower, I mean, even down to a person with their own lawn, nurseries, I mean, everybody uses nitrogen. Nitrogen is so pertinent for crops and I mean for plants in general. I mean everything needs nitrogen. It's the backbone of protein. So, but to get to the point where we don't have to put on 2 or 3 times what we have in the past for nitrogen, it's amazing, and the ROI that comes back to that, and understanding how RDX-N works. As a biostimulant, and then you have some nutrient that goes with it. But the biostimulant part is more plant. I would say you look at more of the plant and the way that it uses the biostimulant instead of like we're H85. We talk a little bit more about soil microbiome. It's the plant that uses that nitrogen, and I like to call it as it's a coefficient to nitrogen organization because that plant is using RDX-N to bring the stress level down as an antioxidant, and it's saying, hey, don't worry, you can bring in this photosynthesis. I'll help you with this nitrogen over here for growth. I'll help you with protein synthesis over here. If you need to feed a little bit of microbiology, then we'll go that way too. So, but to do that with, I mean, 12 ounces, 13, 16, 32, whatever it is at the time of the plant and where it's at is amazing to me. Where again, we're always talking about pounds per acre or units per acre. I can put down ounces per acre and get to the point where I'm taking away all those pounds. That's ROI back in the grower's pocket every single time, because nitrogen and water are your biggest nutrient that you're putting down. So if I can take that biggest nutrient and I can put ROI back into the grower's pocket, that allows him to not worry about that plant. He can worry about his family. He can think about, all right, where am I going to go next? And just alleviate a lot of stress. So it's not only an antioxidant for the plant, it's an antioxidant for the grower. So.
Oh, I love that analogy. We have seen success in the field. In fact, there's just recent success wrapping up with a wheat harvest locally. Can you comment on that? And this is in terms of RDX-N utilization.
So RDX-N utilization. So we went into a wheat crop, fall planted. So there was already some nutrient that was put down in the form of nitrogen. And what we did is we used RDX-N at around 12 ounces. And we went right into a herbicide spray. And then we cut the rest of the nitrogen throughout the season. So right there just gives you that opportunity to be more efficient. So can I put this in a spray? Does it have to be on its own? No, it doesn't. But once it assimilates into the plant, then you see that bioactivity throughout that season. And that's what we saw. And our target goal was 140, 150 bushel. And we were meeting our goal, and even just on the outside of the pivot. So to really see what we were at inside the middle of the pivot, I mean, I didn't get to see all of it, but grower's happy, I'm happy, and he saved money. So that's what it comes down to. And you'll see whether it's legislation or whether it's just growers wanting to be more efficient. There's going to be this. I don't know how to actually say it, but there's going to be a cap on how much nitrogen, how much P, how much K, and this technology is going to help. This technology is going to push our growers into not having to worry about, hey, I can't put 300 units down on my corn or 200 units or whatever it is that they're doing, but they can feel comfortable getting the same yields and maybe even better yields, quality too. I mean, nutrient density, when you talk about how much excess nitrogen is put on and how much that actually will hinder that, we're going to have better nutrient crops. We're going to have more efficient crops just with RDX-N. So like I said, I could go on and on about RDX-N, but it is amazing just to see it locally too and where we're at. So the opportunity that RDX-N has moving forward is amazing, and to see what we can do in season, that to me was even better. So it's not just oh, I missed this opportunity. It's like, hey, we can get this at any point in the crop and help you.
Well, nitrogen, for obvious reasons, over the generations has been a bit of a security blanket for many growers, but we can give them the assurance that they'll be just fine with optimized nitrogen use through RDX-N. Tremendously exciting, and I think in the years ahead, we're going to see a lot more tremendous success stories from it. It's a great time here at Redox. So I want to ask you about, we're deep into summer right now, fall crops will be coming on. 3 crops in Idaho that rank among the top 5 in the U.S. We talked about the wheat harvest. We'll soon be into wheat planting again. Mm-hmm. How can Redox help with that process?
That's a great question. So we first 30 days is huge whenever you plant a new crop. So being able to get that nutrition in with that seed and that first seminal root system is key. So like Rootex, RootRx, that's huge. So you got your potassium, your phosphorus, the biostimulant that helps with that, and keep that plant going. So we can build up that sugar reserves going into the winter. We can keep that root in that microbiome continual throughout the season. In my opinion, it slows down. It doesn't necessarily stop. So we have to make sure that we get going really strong. And then, because like we're here, we might have an open winter. We might have 10 feet of snow and stay all the way through. So you never know. So the nutrition and the efficiency of that nutrition is key from the fall going into the wintertime. So that would be wheat, and then finishing strong. So that, I mean, I guess all the cereals here would be that way. A lot of guys will do alfalfa coming up after wheat. So that's another one that we kind of I feel like is a crop that we don't really pay attention to a lot. As far as that, a lot of guys will just put down 1152 and call it good, which is really inefficient. And so if we can look at things like that, low use rates with Rootex, RootRx, and to give us that efficiency to actually have a soluble nutrient based on a biostimulant, it just would put us that much further ahead. So like you said, middle of the summer, getting in towards these hot parts of the summer towards the end, is water is huge, and finishing strong. So making sure that with sugar beets, come September 1st, these guys will start having early digs on some of the things, and that's a huge crop in Idaho. I think it's second in the U.S.
Correct.
Right now.
To Minnesota, I think, is the first?
Yeah, I think Minnesota. So, where we have these cooler nights, it's really good, starts putting sugar down, but if we don't have the potassium there to really elicit that reaction to push those sugars down, then some of these guys, we can get tonnage, but the sugar is where we're at too, so it's a component of not just yield, but sugar. So we got to make sure we finish strong there. Water's, another way that we can do that. Make sure that we keep the sugar pressure in there. So like I said, we mentioned diKaP before, but diKaP is huge, going through finishing strong and managing water with sugar beets. And I also use diKaP a lot on the potatoes in the very same manner, where potatoes are bulking. We're looking for potassium loads, water. That's that biostimulant and diKaP to help with that stomatoconductance through this whole process of the heat, cool nights, the warm days. I call them warm days; they're too hot for me. So, but the hot days, and that's key to finishing strong that way. So, once that wheat crop comes off, and we're thinking about what's going into the next, that's where I'm looking at HE5, PeneCal, putting that down for that winter, that fall, and then coming in strong with Rootex, RootRx, and If you want to look at, we put a little bit of nitrogen down, and we're going to be putting RDX-N down. So make sure that we're using that nitrogen and not leaching it through, all the rains that'll be coming in the fall, and all the snowpack that'll be coming through the winter too. So we actually use what we put down and keep it within that plant.
So we mentioned 2 of the 3 big crops here that I wanted to discuss. We covered wheat, we covered sugar beets, potatoes. You mentioned some of that as well. Anything else as potatoes head toward harvest in terms of finishing strong? It's wonderful, I think, that we can help our potato industry so much, since that is #1 in the U.S. and they're unequaled in my estimation, and Idaho spud is a thing of beauty.
And just the varieties as well as we have here, we've got fingerlings, we've got reds, we've got different russets, and so it's fun to, and it's a hard crop. I compare it to sheep. I think they're always looking for a reason to die, and so you got to be cognizant. You got to be walking the fields every week. You got to be checking that, looking at your petioles, and so at this point, the growers are really trying to put those starches in and make sure that their skin sets are good. So you got to make sure your calcium was strong in the beginning, your potassium strong, and so in the little micronutrients here and there. So we'll be looking at doing some triplex micro or supreme coming up, just to make sure that we have your boron and your copper, your molybdenum, all those different little that help out with enzymatic activities and really setting those starches good, so we can have good static numbers when we're coming in for the crop. The other one I was thinking about too is corn. At this time right now, you're coming V10, coming into tassel. Supreme would be an amazing attribute for finishing strong in corn. So it's always good to get started and start strong. I think one thing that where guys look at too is especially during the season, if they're getting contracts cut or they're getting different things from their different processors where, hey, we can't pay you what we agreed on here, and this is just, the nature of the beast. It's how can I still finish strong without making sure that ROI is still back in the pocket? So that would be another thing that we look at in corn, whether it be silage or we're going for low moisture, high moisture corn, is trying to finish strong in those kernels and making sure that we have the micronutrients again and pushing that starch and that. So RDX-N comes into that. It really helps that nitrogen assimilation, and so I look at that. So RDX-N, Supreme, diKaP are huge at this point of year. I mean, I can't stress that enough. And that's exactly what it does, is it takes away that stress, alleviates that stress, whether it's heat stress or you got spider mites coming in at this time too. Water, if the guys are losing water based on, their snowpack is going out. Some guys in these further sections up in the mountains, they're based on little reservoirs that they built hundreds of years ago and based on snowpack. And they don't have a lot, so we got to finish strong. And the way to do that is to be also cognizant that we have to manage water and we have to manage nutrients. So,
I want to ask you about 2 of the products you mentioned, Rootex and RootRx. Is it well understood by the growing community the importance of strong roots? Is that still something that growers need a little more scientific discussion on that?
I think, it's very well understood that, a strong root will give you strong nutrient availability. I think what we're learning more too is if we start looking into like the rhizophagy or within that rhizosphere within the root system is not just how strong, but how that communicates within the soil and through the plant. So your root exudates that are coming through, your photosynthesates, the flavonoids that are coming through with the plants, and how that feeds the microbiome. So with Rootex and RootRx, you have a strong biostimulant. And so that biostimulant helps to signal with the microbiome, hey, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what we can protect. And so there's lots of different things going on, whether it's chelating, it's signaling, it's assimilation into the plant, making it easier. We go right back to plant charge balance. There's so many charges within the soil. I call it a lot of noise because it's a bad filter, let's be honest. There's so many different things going on in the soil. So if you can help alleviate a lot of that charge going forward, then you're going to stimulate that plant, and that plant is going to make the organic acids it needs, and it's going to signal to that rhizosphere, this is what I want, this is what needs to happen. And Rootex and RootRx are a key component on making sure that we get the right material and the right charge going into the plant. And Rootex is phenomenal. You know, not only does it have a little bit of your PeneCal, but it's the biostimulant that helps that be more available to the plant and protect that charge. RootRx the same way. I love RootRx actually. I think it's an amazing tool that not only is it good for roots in the beginning, but we can use it to strengthen a lot of things during the season too. That finding a little bit more about how that happens during the season is really cool for me. And like I said, I like the applied science part of it. So if Dr. Doss and Dr. Gifford Gillette don't get a chance to do something out here in the research farm, I've got a lot of great growers that allow me to play around a little bit. But you know, we're seeing some great things. So we just keep doing what we're doing, and I focus on the plant charge balance.
I want to back up even further. Great nutrition and biostimulants, that combination that gets us to this bionutrient category, the synergy, how important is that synergy to getting the results that we've been discussing today?
Oh, it's huge, you know. So I think a biostimulant, and I think that even Darren and Dr. Gillette and Dr. Doss will agree with me. It's just a stimulant on its own is not enough. We have to have a nutrient that helps with that, and hence the bionutrient part with Redox. And so having a nutrient, but you can't just have any nutrient. You also have to make sure that that nutrient's going to be available. So much like our soils at our calcareous, if I just throw a phosphate out there, it's going to turn into a calcium phosphate, which that's the same as what's made out of your teeth. So it's going to be pretty hard to get back into the plant. So I need to have another technology that we have, and again, that's protecting, that's microencapsulating, that's chelating. That's using an L-amino acid to compare that with a biostimulant. So it's almost, that synergy is like a great marriage that you can just always rely on and having that other partner help the other one. So to have a bionutrient as part of that name, and it makes it a strong argument that, yeah, this is the way it needs to continue to go, because that stimulant needs a nutrient and that nutrient needs a stimulant. So to have a biostimulant with a nutrient package is amazing. It's a one-stop shop.
We talked about the science. We've talked about pragmatic, grower-focused solutions. How much fun are you having?
Oh, man. I think we were just talking about this morning. I don't even feel like I'm working. I feel like I've been searching my whole career for something like this, where I'm doing science-based application every day, but at the same time, I'm helping a grower, and I can help a grower. I've been in the agronomy game for a lot of years now, you know, going 12 years professionally or so, and so it makes it fun to enjoy what I do every day, and then to, like I said, have the team that we have here, where we were out with wheat farmers the other day, and you know, we were able to just make a recommendation, make a phone call, or have questions and get into on plant charge balance, and now they're recognizing, hey, if I use this with this, doesn't this help balance this charge? And that makes your heart sing, because yeah, the whole message is plant charge balance, and they're understanding that. But when they can see it after they understand it, it just makes it so much more rewarding going forward. So yeah, to say I'm having fun is kind of an understatement, but to say I love what I do right now, that's definitely where I'm at.
Wonderful. We'll have to do this again soon. I really appreciate your time, Brett.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Well, that will wrap up our podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.